Hi everyone, welcome to the Stat Programming. Today I'm continuing to talk about the ADaMIG version 1.2 about ADSL variables. So if you want to submit your dataset, for example, to FDA, and your ADSL is ADAM compliant, then all your analysis dataset should be considered ADAM dataset. Even if your other datasets are not ADAM compliant, you still need to put all your datasets under the ADAM folder. Another way, if your ADSL is not ADAM compliant, then all your datasets should be put under the legacy folder in the submission package. Okay. So here is an idea called pre-ADSL dataset. It can be used as an input for your subsequent analysis. Can be used for ADSL or other efficacy dataset. This is one of the idea. It's optional. You can consider this. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the details of all the variables. The first is identifiers in ADSL. As you can see, we have study IDs, use subject ID, and subject ID. For subject ID, it is required in ADSL, but it is not required in other datasets. So this means that for the common variables, you don't need to include subject ID into other datasets. Okay, site ID is required in ADSL. It's not required in other datasets similar as subject ID. And then you have group, site group variables, and it's numeric variable. So these two has to be one-to-one relationship. Then you have geographic region variables. Okay, the second part is the demographics variables. You have age. If analysis needs a derived age that does not match the DM variables, then these variables analysis age has to be added. And you have age unit. If you have pooled age group, you have these two variables. It's quite straightforward. And you have sex and race, and the sex n and race n is not required. You have these group variables. Okay, the next section is about population indicators, or called population flags. There are many here, listed here. For example, your full analysis set, you have safety, ITT, per protocol. So all these population flag variables has the code list or control terms, which means their values has to be Y or N. It cannot be null or blank, or it cannot be yes or no. It has to be Y and N. So please be aware of this. This is a usual, is very common mistakes that people may use blank or null value for these variables. So for your study, not all these variables are needed. You only need whatever in the SAP analysis needed. And you can also add a new flag variables. About treatment variables, you have arm and actual arm. These two variables are not required in previous ADaMIG versions, such as 1.0. 1.1, I think you have this in 1.1 version. So from 1.1 and now 1.2, they have this arm variable here. Okay? Then you have planned treatment for different period. So the planned variables is required. The actual variable, these are optional. They only required if the planned treatment does not match the actual. Okay, these variable TRT, SC, these are for the analysis based on the sequence of treatments. For example, a crossover design, which means they have different treatments for a subject. So this variable, you need to put this one. And same again for the actual this one only applicable when the treatment has different than the planned. Okay, and then you have similar pooled variables. It's quite straightforward. Okay, then we have those variables. You have planned, actual, treatment dose for different period, planned, actual, and you have units for the dose for period. And you have this one, TRT, STT. This one is very common one. And please note that these variables are required if there's an investigational product. It's usually required. But this variable is not required to have the same value as the SDTM variable like this one. So for the analysis report in ADaM dataset, this variable could be different than this one. So an ADaM date may be derived to support the analysis, which may not necessarily be the first date in this domain. So this one need your more attention. Okay, and there's the code list name for these imputation flag variables. CDISC means the imputation flag, either for the date or for time. There's a series of these kind of variables. Again, this variable is similar to the TRT, STT, similar situation. And then you have similar variables for different period. Is that all these are similar variables, so it's quite straightforward. Okay. Now there's a variable called subject level period, subperiod, and phase timing variables. So this sometimes may cause some confusion. Usually, if your study only have one period, or for example, your treatment stay the same, which means that you only need the phase variable. You don't need period and subperiod. So this period and subperiod is optional based on your study design. So only include when it's necessary. Because these are variables are really a lot of them. Let's see. You have lots of analysis period different periods, start date and time, and some imputation flag, really a lot of them. So check your SAP for the design and choose the appropriate variables. Manage just only a few of them, not all of them. And next section is about try experience variables. First one is the end of study status. You have similar variables for end of treatment status. So here this is the subject SPGTST80. Code is the name for this variable. You can use this one. And the value example could be completed, discontinued, or ongoing. And then you have its date, reason, and then you have end of treatment. So it's very similar to the study. So end of study is different from end of treatment. Okay, so these two sets of variables similar. And then you have these date of informed consent, enrollment, and randomization. These are quite usually are needed for study. Okay? And you could have multiple consent date within a study. Then you can use this one, similar as this one. And the last know alive date. So this one is important. Many study may need this variable. You have to check all the dates across different datasets and found these the last date. Okay. And treatment compliance, yeah, this one is needed. If your table shell has this report. And then this one is new from since ADaMIG version 1.1. So this is a treatment duration in period, in days, in months, in years. Okay. Yeah, this one also new since ADaMIG 1.1. So 1.2 still have those variables. And then you have date of death and imputation flag, cause of death. These ones is better to keep them in the ADSL. And next section is about stratification randomization, stratified randomization variables. This section is new. It's totally new. It's not included in ADaMIG 1.1. So this is one of the two major updates in 1.2. One is these stratification variables. The other one is for the bi-directional variables in BDS structural datasets like ADLab. Okay, so these variables are those that can be used to analysis the effect of treatment. Is called prognostic factor, or it can be called confound factor. Which means that for example, the age group is like you have less than 50 or larger than 50, or is male or female. So these are called stratification, and this stratification can affect the analysis. So in this implementation guide, there are two sets of value. One is called randomized, one is verified. As you can see, these variables, stratification, you have first strata used for randomization. Okay. The example values could be like this. This has a numerical variable, and you have the description about that. And then similar, you have the strata from verification source. So this is similar to the randomization. Okay, that's for today about ADSL variables. So again, just a reminder that in ADSL you don't need to put too many variables. So try to include these variables and only include those applied can be applicable for your study, not all of them. And then include as few variables as possible, as long as ADSL can be used or can fulfill your analysis reporting in the table listing figure. And you can create other ADaM dataset like ADBase instead of put so many baseline variables into ADSL. Okay.